What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. It is your boy, the Goose, and the Goose is loose, baby. And I am coming at you today with a WandaVision theory video. Theory, kinda, just a WandaVision video. So, we are going into the final episode this week, which means I gotta get everything out. Like, these WandaVision videos have been fun to make, so this would usually be my predictions video, but I'm going to do that one tomorrow. Today, I'm going to give you my options for every possible character that could be the big cameo that we have been teased with for this series. Now, last episode, obviously, spoiler alert for the first 8 episodes of WandaVision. Watch it if you haven't. It's incredible, of course. But at the end of last episode, the post-credit scene, White Vision was revealed. And a lot of people started to think, because Paul Bettany, the actor that plays Vision, put out that there was a cameo who he had fireworks with, and it was an actor that he had wanted to work with his entire life. So people's imagination started to go crazy. Like, who are the actors of that level in the world? Like, De Niro, Pacino, that level, I think. The older generation. If he had been wanting it his whole life, that means they've been acting his whole life. They're probably old. So people were going crazy. But now it looks like with White Vision, he was messing with us. And the actor that he gets to work with is himself. Which, at first, I gotta tell you, I was mad. Like, I was so pissed off when I made that connection in my head. I was like, you bastard. It's like, you got me. I really wanted something huge. But I don't think that's a red herring. We're still getting a massive cameo. And that's in addition to another cameo I think that's guaranteed, Doctor Strange. And I'll start off there. So I think we're definitely getting Doctor Strange in this final episode. And I don't think he's the big character. I think he could be, but I think there's another surprise in store. But I've kind of broken these options into tiers. The first group of people I'm going to talk about as potential cameo options are I've classified as witches and sorcerers. Number 1 on the list, I put Doctor Strange. It's obvious he's going to be there, I think, now that we're dealing with magic and multiverse and all of that. My second option would be Wong. I think Wong, a character that started so serious, has become one of, like, the very well-liked B-level characters of the Marvel Universe. He got a line in Endgame. Like, not everybody's getting lines in Endgame. So I think Wong could have been in Westview all along as, like, the eyes and ears for Strange, potentially. I think everything going on with magic, the MCU is going mystical and magical going forward. And this series is going to blow the doors open for that. So that's why I devoted an entire category to sorcerers and witches. The third option would be Mordo. Baron Mordo. That's his name, right? No, is it Baron? I know there's Baron Zemo. Is it Baron Mordo? I doubt they would do the same first name. Mordo. Chiwetel Ejiofor. I think he could show up. What was the last line we heard him say? There are too many wizards or something. I'd assume he'd have the same sentiment for witches. So you're telling me there are 2 witches fighting in the middle of a New Jersey town? That's 2 birds, 1 stone. Maybe Mordo shows up and tries to kill them. Now is when we get a little crazier. The first out there one I'll mention is Klee, I believe her name is. I know nothing about the character, but there have been theories all along that Dottie is Klee. Or, I don't know if this is tied to that theory or separate, because I don't know that character. But there's also theories that Dottie may have been a witch with Agatha Potentially, we saw her coven, so I don't think she was a part of her coven. But maybe Dottie found her after that, after Agatha had killed them and she was looking for allies. So I think either Klee, whoever that is, I think she's a female. I think she's a wizard. I think she's a female, and I think she's a witch. Those are the two things I know. But I've seen people talking about her. Or Dottie could be like another powerful entity, either another witch, or I'll talk about the other crazy options later that she could tie into. Then Nicholas Scratch, who I've talked about a lot, that's Agatha Harkness's son. He's a wizard, highly skilled, and he's been a big villain for the Fantastic Four in the past. And the last name I'm going to mention under Sorcerers and Witches is none other than Victor Von Doom, Doctor Doom. There are timelines where he's the Sorcerer Supreme. And I think it would be really interesting if the way he was introduced was through magic instead of the Fantastic Four. I don't want another Fantastic Four movie with him as the lead right away, or as the lead villain. Like, every single Fantastic Four movie besides Silver Surfer has been Fantastic Four versus Doom. Give me something different with Doom. Let's go into his magical background, which he has. He's a sorcerer. He's, like I said, he's been a Sorcerer Supreme. And he's somebody who could kind of be like a Loki, but of the Earth in the MCU. Like, he can be good, he can be bad. He's done both in the comics. So that wraps up my Sorcerers and Witches section. Now we are moving into potential cameos from the Fox X-Men. Because I'm going to record my predictions video pretty shortly. So you'll come to know in that video that I am very much behind that this is the multiverse. And it's open already. I've said before, Peter, her brother, Pietro. Excuse me. I don't think that's Pietro. I think that's Peter Maximoff, Quicksilver from X-Men. And I think we could get another cameo from that group of actors to cement the fact that it's happening. And here are my theories. First, the obvious one, Professor X. I think he could come over and have a conversation with Wanda, either mentally, telepathically, kind of in the way that Patrick Stewart and James McAvoy had their conversation through different time space things. They could do that. Or they could do Patrick Stewart. I don't know why I just went at. I just froze up there for a second. My bad. It could be Patrick Stewart. He could just be coming because, I don't know, maybe Doctor Strange already knows of Patrick Stewart and the X-Men over there. Maybe he does. I don't know. There's also the possibility that Professor X would be coming to find his Quicksilver. Quicksilver disappeared, and I'm sure Professor X is advanced enough to be able to figure out what has occurred, potentially. Number two, and I think if I could pick any cameo to happen, I think it's this one, Magneto. Magneto could be the big cameo, and it could be revealed that he's Wanda's father. The father in the last episode, I kind of felt like he had a different accent than the rest of them. I could have been wrong, but his felt more European than Sokovian. I was thinking almost French, maybe. I could be wrong. I could be very wrong, and I hope I don't offend anybody if I'm wrong in the way I interpreted that accent. But I wouldn't be surprised if that wasn't her real father. That was like a stepfather figure. And we find out that either Ian McKellen or Fassbender was the father. I think Fassbender is the better choice, personally. I know Ian McKellen is Ian McKellen, and, like, Sir Ian McKellen is a deity in acting. But, in terms of what I would rather see for where these actors are right now and where the story is, I think I'd rather see it in his prime Magneto. That's the issue with Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen. They are very old. Um, and I don't want to lean too heavily into the de-aging stuff if we don't have to. So I'd probably go for the younger ones. I think Hank McCoy could cross over. There was a lot of people that thought Hank McCoy would be the aerospace engineer, which he still could be. I don't think that reveal happened yet. I don't think Commander Goodner, I don't believe Goodner was the reveal, unless Goodner is a Skrull. That could be the case. But Hank McCoy, again, whether it's Kelsey Grammer, which I think it should be, since we got Quicksilver, who's associated with the newer X-Men movies, I want a first-generation X-Men. And, I mean, obviously, if you can get old Claws back, Hugh Jackman, do it, but I don't think you can. So maybe it's Kelsey Grammer. I don't know. So Hank McCoy's an option. And I said Rogue, potentially. Now, I don't think they cast another, like a second version of Rogue. So they could potentially do either a fresh casting of an older Rogue, the same casting from the original Rogue, our Rogue, like a Rogue from our MCU universe. Because there have been rumors that Rogue could potentially be the villain in a Captain Marvel 2 movie, which would be wild. So I could see Rogue as well. Then there's the option of an old name that is already established in the MCU being the Cameo. This is definitely the least exciting of any of these, that's for sure. But, so Hawkeye, just because Hawkeye, he has connection to Wanda. They had a lot of intimate moments not intimate, but, moments of connection in Age of Ultron. Ultron himself, of course. White Vision could have been Ultron. I tend to think if it was Ultron, they would have had the actor James Spader say his iconic "There are no strings on me." Now, people did point out the first thing that Vision does is look at his left hand. Apparently, Ultron lost his left hand in the battle at the end because there was that whole thing where, like, in every movie in Phase 2, somebody lost a hand. Google it. It's a thing. Then there is Hank Pym. I don't know. He's a scientist. Maybe he's going to have some input on what is going on with the Hex. Maybe he was Monica's guy. Thanos. I'm just going to throw it out there. I mean, him and Wanda went through some shit. They had their big moment in Infinity War that was heartbreaking. Like, it's hard to put a positive spin on anything Thanos did, but it was a touching moment after Wanda killed Vision, and Thanos is like, I understand when you have to do everything you need to, like when you must do the ultimate thing, and he, like, I think he puts his hand on her head, and it's very much like one of my children. And I could see that being something that brings on a cathartic moment for her. And then my last one for an old name, I can't remember which of my friends said this to me. I Snapchat, like, if I Snapchat you about Marvel theories and you mention this, shoot me a message. I'll give you credit in the next video. But Rocket Raccoon. This is not that long after the events of Endgame. Rocket could still be on Earth? Does that check out? I think it does. But, hell, get Bradley Cooper in there. I'm always happy to see Rocket. And now, the most exciting, the final section of potential cameo options is Newcomers. That is faces we have not seen before. Only faces we have not seen before. So, the number one, everybody thought Reed Richards was going to be the aerospace engineer. I always kind of thought that was a bigger scope than they wanted for WandaVision. But the Fantastic Four. The Fantastic Four would be a massive level cameo. Like, that's insane if you bring them in now. I think they just started hiring writers for that script. So people saying like Jennifer Lawrence is Sue Storm and she's reporting to film, no, she's not. Unless, shit, I mean, I guess I just played myself because if they're showing up here, they could be cast already. Um, but that would be Reed Richards, Sue Storm, Johnny Storm, and Ben Grimm. I'm assuming they wouldn't be superpowered yet, but I suppose they could be. Now, no, one more. The new X-Men could be the big cameo. Because my theory is, from now to the end of the Multiverse of Madness is the Multiverse Saga. It's a much smaller saga than the Infinity Saga, obviously. And I don't think, like, they'll never go to the multiverse again, but it's called the Multiverse of Madness. The madness will be contained by the end of that movie. And I think what happens is, from now to then is when we get all of these old actors doing roles again. Fassbender, McAvoy, if you can get Hugh Jackman. I don't know, if you want to stunt cast it, or you want to really shock us, have Chris Evans show up as Johnny Storm. Hey, Captain Rogers, the name's Storm, what do you... Everybody would shit themselves. But I think at the end of the Multiverse of Madness, all of those old names are done. We never see them again. They go back to their world, and that's it. I think we are actively seeing the beginning of mutants right now, and I shared a theory recently that maybe the snap in Infinity War was the first wave of mutants being born, and maybe like Professor X, hypothetically Giancarlo Esposito playing it, could say like, I've been using my powers, which either he could be a mutant, like one of the original mutants, like he could have been established already, but nobody knew about him because he was the only mutant. You can explain that however you want. Maybe he's another multiverse Charles. I feel like you could use the idea that basically Charles used his powers to hide the mutants from the world for the 5 years of the between snaps. And I also think we still have a lot to learn about what those 5 years were like, because in the background of a Falcon and the Winter Soldier shot, it looks like there's a trophy case with Skrull skulls in it. So a lot happened in those 5 years we don't know about, and maybe mutants are a part of that. I don't know. Maybe they started to pop up at such a small scale, it wouldn't be a big enough thing that would have come up in A Far From Home, or that would have come up to right now in WandaVision. Like, it could have already happened, we just haven't seen it reflected yet. And now we're getting into the wild. These are the villains that could be appearing. First, I'm going to lead off with the Grim Reaper. I don't know that much about the Grim Reaper. His helmet was in like one of the openings, the animated opening. I don't know shit about the Grim Reaper or Simon Williams or whatever, but apparently he's involved in the West Coast Avengers storyline, and that's what this is based on. If you want to do research on who the Grim Reaper is, fine. I don't know who he is. If it's him, fine. But there are 3 big names I'm here to speculate now. I'll lead off with the obvious one, Mephisto. Everybody on the internet who knows comics has been talking about Mephisto potentially being behind this. He's Marvel's devil. A lot of people thought Evan Peters still could be Mephisto. Some people think that Ralph is Mephisto, is the rabbit, like the rabbit is Ralph is Mephisto. Because in that comic run, the twins were born out of, like, Mephisto split off portions of his soul so that the twins could live for Wanda, essentially creating like Horcruxes for himself out of them. and then he reabsorbs them into himself, and Wanda loses her fucking shit. And I think that could literally be the end of this. My reasoning against Mephisto, it's a little just intense for the devil to be one of your main characters. I don't know, like, and I mean, I'm pretty sure in, like, mythology, a witch is married to the devil. Like, I feel like in Hocus Pocus, all the witches called the devil master, or the guy they thought was the devil. So I could see her, like, putting it that way to show that she's, like, subservient to that, whatever that entity is. But I also don't think it happens because, well, first off, another reason it could be him. When Agatha was getting blasted by all the witches, you could see the energy coming up her neck, and it was red. It wasn't purple. But that overthrows Agatha too much, in my opinion. And I just don't know that this multiverse saga has room for the devil. Which will lead me to my next option, Chthon. I've talked about him as well. He is the, like, prehistoric god that wrote the Darkhold, which is the book we believe we saw in Agatha's dungeon, and he is responsible for chaos magic in the comics. He imbued Wanda with chaos magic at birth because he sensed an aptitude for power, essentially. Which could again be tied back to the X gene. But the thing about Chthon, it's another one. Like, it's Cthulhu. It's a little too real world. Like, I know Chthon is a little more Marvelized, but it's directly based off of Cthulhu, I believe. And also, again, I don't know if he fits the scope of all of this. So, the last character I'm going to bring up now, this video went longer than I had hoped, my apologies. The character I think is most likely to be in here is Nightmare. I think Nightmare is the happy balance of what they want this evil force to be. It needs to be something incredibly dark to explain the dark magic and the witchcraft, but I don't know that you want to go pure devil. And I think Nightmare could be the happy medium. And we've seen before in the MCU, they really like to kind of hodgepodge stories together. Like, when Thanos showed up, everybody was like, how the hell are they going to work in the fact that he wants to kill half the world because he's trying to impress Lady Death? Oh, and they didn't. Whiplash and Iron Man 2 is like an amalgamation of two different characters. No Adam Warlock in the Infinity Saga. Like, they do things differently. And I feel like whoever this entity is might get a little bit of all of these things. Like, for one, Agatha could also be Nightmare. Agatha, if you really just want to say, in this run, Agatha is like an Avengers level threat, I'm good with that. I'm fine with that. And I don't think that reveal would make it so. I already mentioned at one point I don't like the idea of just like this story about women and about all of our leads being women and about Wanda specifically. And it's like this whole series has been these women acting their asses off and doing the work. And now here comes Al Pacino as the big bad, and it's a man now. I kind of think we're staying in the scope that we are. And I like the idea of keeping this story female-driven. And I think having Agatha kind of absorb some of the power of Nightmare could be the way to go. But then there's the obvious the rabbit is Ralph, is Nightmare, and they're together. And I think that could work because the thing with the devil is she's not going to be on the same, Agatha is not going to be at the same level as the devil, unfortunately. It's the devil. Nightmare, you can more rationalize as an equal to her that's not as broken as Satan. And I could see Nightmare and Agatha as equals. And if they are a couple, like either romantically or strategically, I think that would be awesome. And it's long been rumored Nightmare could be the villain of Doctor Strange too. So I wouldn't. We've already. Kevin Feige recently said we're not getting a WandaVision season 2 as of right now. There's no plans for it. This leads right into Doctor Strange. So whoever this big reveal is going to be a mainstay in Doctor Strange, I'd have to imagine. Like a main character in that movie. So Nightmare makes the most sense to me. All right, guys. Thank you for... Oh, I haven't said anything about Nightmare. He's Freddy Krueger. He feeds on your fear. He attacks you in dreams. Yes, Freddy Krueger, essentially. So, with all of that being said, thank you guys if you're still here for sticking it out with me. I've really loved making these WandaVision videos for you guys. I'm going to record another one before the episode, which I will try my best to predict the episode. Then, I'll try to get my review up to you by like 6 a.m. Friday because I'm an idiot. But if you've enjoyed the content I've given you to this point, this video specifically, any other video you've watched of mine, please give me a like, please give me a subscription. I'm at 49 subscribers. I'd really like to cross that 50 subscriber mark. That would be really cool. I've already started to push for 100. Like I say, we're on the road to 100, but gotta hit 50 first. So somebody please be that 50th subscriber and let's keep it going then. Give me a like. Give me your theories down below. Tell me who on that list would be your favorite. Mine's Magneto. I would do Michael Fassbender Magneto as my big cameo. Tell me yours down below, guys. Thank you for hanging out with me today. Goose out.